KBLA Talk 1580, the Terry Claiborne Foundation presents its 26th annual holiday party, Saturday, December 9th, featuring live entertainment, celebrity appearances, plus food and drinks. There is a cover charge for this party of the season, but not if you're one of our special guests. All you have to do is go to our website at KBLA1580.com and sign up. That's it, that's all. Just sign up at KBLA1580.com and you could win entrance to the soiree of the season. But whether you win or not, get a ticket, support the kids, and come join us on the red carpet in your semi-formal club attire and celebrate the season with KBLA Talk 1580 and the Terry Claiborne Foundation as we collect toys for the youth in our community. That's Saturday, December 9th, 1110 South La Cienega Boulevard, just south of Olympic. It's a holiday party with a purpose.
I'm Terry Claiborne. It's going to be a party. Come hang out with us.
You got me some type of way. Ain't used to feeling this way. I do not know what to say. Yeah. But I know I shouldn't think about it. So one look at your face. Now I wanna know how you taste. Usually don't give it away. Yeah. But you know I'm already thinking about it. Then I realize she's right there. And I'm at home like, damn, this ain't fair. Break up with your girlfriend. Yeah, cause I'm bored. You can hit it in the morning. Yeah, like it's yours. I know it ain't right, but I don't care. Break up with your girlfriend. Yeah, cause I'm bored. This shit always happened to me. Why can't we just play for keeps? Practically on my knees. Yeah. But I know I shouldn't think about it. You know what you're doing to me. You're singing my songs in the streets. Yeah. Acting on innocent, please. When I know you are thinking about it. Then you realize she's right there. And you're at home like, damn, she can't compare. Break up with your girlfriend.
Let me tell you,
Yeah, cause I'm
I really rock with Ponytail. I like her songs. I like her music. Probably because she has a lot of black writers. But yeah, Ariana, Ponytail. Ponytail. I'm calling her Ponytail. I'm being funny. I like Ariana Grande. Really, I do, though. I have, her albums, they got some heat. Manifesting joints on there, too, if you think about it. But nah, I like that. And that song in particular, it's wrong, but it's fire. I like it. I think about what I was probably in about 6th or 7th grade when Salt and Pepper came out with I'll Take Your Man. That probably shaped my mind. I don't think like that in real life, but in my mind, my alter ego is like, yeah, all of that. We're giving that type of energy. Not in real life, though. It's just fun in song. Anyway, you were locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. And for those that, don't take a man, you could be like Tracey Ellis Ross. And not Tracey Ellis Ross, wrong Tracey. Shout out to Tracey Ellis Ross, though. She's in Candy Cane Lane, and she's also in American Fiction, so we'll tie it in that way. Tracey Edmonds, shout out to her, because, Tracey always seems to have the good boyfriends, the high values, or something, She went from Babyface to Eddie to Deion, and now they're parting ways. Well, we're going to get into that in a second, but I can't forget, listen. Did you watch the Laker game on Saturday? When the Lakers, just barely beat the Houston Rockets, right? But the end of the game was pretty exciting. There was, some things that happened, right? It's really the second quarter, though, that kind of decided the outcome of that game. And let me tell you why, right? Well, not the second quarter. The second quarter is when there was actual basketball stuff that happened that kind of pretty much told you the way the game was going to go. But And in the second quarter, the Lakers outscored Houston 35-14. But in the fourth quarter, right? In the fourth quarter, things got a little testy because, there were some fouls happening and whatever. And people complain about LeBron and how he calls fouls. And, they say he's whining. He gets preferential treatment. And I guess the head coach of Houston, Ime, who, if you think about it, LeBron is in his 21st season. So that means that Ime was an active player when LeBron was still playing. Maybe they had some on-court heat at one time or another. But they exchanged some words on Saturday night based on the fouls. Because LeBron, was like, y'all need to chill out, right? We need to take it back. And Ime told him, you acting like a soft $$ boy. I don't know. Those might be fighting words. And, they said that the word business was thrown around. Listen, what's happening out there? What's going on? Of course, when LeBron was asked about it after the game, because they both got texts, Ime got kicked out. LeBron said they were just talking about Thanksgiving and that it's been a wild season and kind of left it at that. But I want to know if there's any backstory. Made me want to go back and look at all the times they played against each other to see if, did Ime toast LeBron? Did LeBron spark him up? It just, when you start throwing out the B word, you know what that means. And it's just basketball. Things get heated. Probably didn't mean anything after that. But I'm just saying, that's a choice. As a coach, that is a choice. And that is a choice that Ime made. Andy?
Your boy Ime, he wanted some.
Ime, okay, I've been
he wanted that smoke.
He did.
I think he was really trying to bait LeBron to do something. Because he was really, those are some fighting words. And like just his disposition as he was standing there when LeBron approached him. It was like
he was ready.
He was ready, and I'm just like, bro, look, he's a good coach.
He is.
I'm gonna assume a lot of that personality kind of carried over when he was coaching in Boston, which helped them get over the hump to finally get to the finals. Mm-hmm. And now he's coaching the Houston Rockets team that's actually surprising a lot of people.
Yeah, he coaches them up. He definitely does. He motivates them.
And I mean, when you got a Dylan Brooks on the squad,
right?
You know what I mean, like that.
But that was something else.
Those some fighting words.
I'm like, did something happen in the past? Have they ever, he was over in San Antonio, so we don't really hear a lot of scandal coming out of there.
If I remember correctly, he was on the coaching staff of San Antonio when they played against the Heat in the finals. So he's come across LeBron on a handful of occasions. Okay. So who knows? I mean, a lot of people call LeBron, LaFlop, and they call him the B word. Of course, we know Draymond or whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
but him and Draymond are boys, though, so you can't even count that anymore. Draymond's like a low key Laker light.
Nah, we're not claiming that.
But I mean,
we good off of Draymond.
We good.
But LeBron should have went low. He should have went low.
You think he should have hit him a little harder?
He should have hit him a little bit harder.
But he probably feels like that's low-hanging fruit. Who cares what's going on with him?
He should have did that, though.
Okay.
He should have. You know what I mean? He should have brought it. Hey, like he said, don't use that word so loosely.
I was surprised. Again, Saturday night game, nationally televised. It's LeBron, and just coming off of, again, not saying that he shouldn't be him. And we are like over a year removed from whatever happened in Boston, although it's, come back up. I was just surprised that he was so aggressive in that manner.
For real, the coach, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just because I was like, ooh, people are just starting to get back on your side. Are you out there messing with the king? You bet not miss.
Yeah, that's why I think LeBron should have went low on that one. But, I guess he's the king. He's LeBron James, and he's probably looking at him like, okay, I didn't experience this before. I'm not going to give you what it is that you want.
All right, well, we'll have to see if it develops into anything else later in the season. We will certainly be keeping our eye on that because, we love a good little headline coming out. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. I do have a little story that came out that we haven't heard too much about, but I'm going to drop it on you. That has to do with LeBron James. It's LeBron James adjacent. We'll talk about that. And Tracey and Deion. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, Black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any Black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions because we've got your Black. Listen up. If you're one of the more than 100,000 California tenants who were rejected or delayed when applying for COVID rental assistance, you've got a second chance. Under the terms of a new settlement, California's Housing and Community Development Department agreed to audit its past denials. The program ended in March 2022, but the advocacy groups Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, Policy Link, and Strategic Actions for a Just Economy sued the department. According to the coalition's analysis of state data, the department rejected nearly 30% of all applicants. Under the settlement, the department agreed to clear all renters in the pipeline within 6 months. The settlement applies to anyone who sought assistance from the state's Housing is Key program before April 1st, 2022, whose applications is pending or was denied after June 6, 2022. Tenants who have questions about the status of their application can call the hotline at 833-430-2122. That's 833-430-2122. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So I don't think that I finished up with Lenny. I think I forgot to mention what he said in response. He said, "It's important to me to set the record straight on recent media reports based on an interview I did. My Black musical heritage means a lot to me, and I owe my success to my supporters who have taken this journey with me over the span of my career. The comment I made was not about Black media or the Black community. I was specifically referring to Black award shows in particular. My comment was meant to express a concern about ensuring that Black artists are recognized for their work in what is now being called non-traditional Black music, which it is not. Rock and roll is the music we were instrumental in creating and is a part of our history. We must retain our heritage and celebrate that together. BET and countless others have paved the way for this type of recognition. I hope that by sharing my concerns, a spotlight will be shown on the issue." I still say that's cap, Lenny. That's cap. Because how many Black Award shows are there? You could only be talking about the BET Awards, the Soul Train Awards, or probably the Image Awards. And we know the BET Awards have only been in existence for the past 20 years. So, I don't know.
And I hate to say it, but these award shows are not highlighting rock music.
They aren't. But by that same token, we do see them bring in other types of music, for tributes and things of that nature. Like they've done gospel music tributes. They've done tributes to Prince. They've done. Why doesn't it count? I've seen go-go tributes. I've seen tributes to old school. Like as time moved along.
This is all black music, though, quote unquote.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? I believe and I brought this up the other day. I believe, and I'm not positive, but I will go look. Living Color was on either the Soul Train Awards or the BET Awards, right? And what I also will say is, regardless of Lenny being rock music, he has songs that could be R&B leaning to the right ear, right? And then part two is he's television royalty, the child of television royalty. So we would have accepted him. I feel like what we are discounting is just like, Black audiences would get excited back in the day. Like if a George Michael came to the Soul Train Awards or on Video Soul, they may not be Lenny's direct audience, but because of what he represents and all those things, they would have been accepting of him. And the thing is, he's done a couple of things. It just hasn't been consistently. And I don't think it's because the black side didn't want him. I think his team did not want him to participate in such.
I think it's both ways. I look at myself as a consumer, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely love hip hop. I love R&B. I even rock with gospel. I even rock with a little bit of jazz. But when it came to rock music, when it came to Lenny Kravitz, yeah, there was a couple songs, but I was not checking for him, period, at all. As a black man, I was like, oh, that's dope. He's doing rock. But I just, like when the BET Awards came around with the Soul Train, I'm not tripping over him.
Right.
So,
but again, I've been there on label side with the thing, network side, and I know, as pointed out, Lenny did a couple of episodes of 106 in Park. Stephen Hill pointed that out. Well, he appeared.
I don't remember them episodes. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know. He probably didn't perform, but he stepped out onto the stage, right? And, had a talk on the couch or so forth. It might not have even been for music in theory, because remember, he was in Precious. He was in, was he in The Butler maybe? He did a lot of work with Lee Daniels. He also, I think about when he was on Star. He and Naomi Campbell were husband and wife on the Lee Daniels produced series Star that came after Empire, right? Which I really enjoyed Star. Lenny didn't do any black press for the black TV show. And granted, he was a special guest. However, he didn't do that. So I'm just saying, do you think Soul Train, which had a plethora of acts, graced that stage, some of them not right in the pocket of R&B as defined in the later years? Because obviously, if you think about the 70s and things like that, there were more bands. There was more, they had David Bowie on Soul Train. So again, I don't know if Lenny has ever been on Soul Train, the actual show, but I know that they would welcome them, because I sat with bookers. You hear the conversations, even if it's not quite a genre fit. He was star enough and had enough of the connections to things that are very black, or that black people, have an affinity for. Your mom was Roxy Roker from the Jeffersons. They're going to give you that. They're going to respect that. They're going to respect the fact that you had Cindy Blackman as your drummer. We had seen her in commercials. Do you know what I'm saying? People that don't even know Lenny's music know who she is, likely from him, even though she's married to Carlos Santana. So there's, a bunch of different ways I feel like we, even if we don't get down with something, we open it up. Everybody knows who Hootie and the Blowfish is, right? As far as black people. They know that's a black man leading that group, Darius Rucker, when they were together. even if they didn't care for the music. So I just think that there's some things that we do as far as for the culture. That's why we extend those, you're invited to the cookout and whatsoever, because we know, I think there are times where we have an appreciation for something that isn't inherently to what we believe us, but we still respect it.
Were we checking for Hootie and the Blowfish to perform at the BET Awards?
Probably not, but
exactly.
but here's my thing. Had they have come, right? People would have been talking about it and it would have been a big deal.
Talking about it in what way? Like, oh my gosh, Hootie and Blowfish, right?
I mean, it just would have been, well, when you think about that type of stuff too, you want to be top of mind. You want to get your single out, but the thing is to get into the mix, right? And I guess what I am saying is I feel that if you're looking at the two sides, right? I feel that as far as Black music, Black media, or whatever, it is much easier for a Black artist that doesn't necessarily play in our pond all the time to still come over and get love, because that's how we are. We're happy, and I feel like that goes back in the days, 60s, 70s, when we rarely saw ourselves on television or saw ourselves in other arena. So we automatically are like, yes, go, you go, boy, you go, girl, whatever, and give it up, even if it isn't our thing. So. Well,
like you said, it goes both ways. So his team didn't make no effort to come holler at us like that.
And they weren't, if they would solicit, they were kind of like, we'll see. Exactly. They weren't really into or interested in that per se.
And that team is still representation of him. So he could have been opened his mouth and said something. Sounds like he was comfortable not being in those spaces for whatever reason.
And again, I agree with that. I talk about it at times how, a lot of people blame publicists at times for things like, oh, the talent comes late, they skip the end of the carpet where a lot of the Black outlets are and things of that nature. Sometimes it's not the publicist. Sometimes it is the celebrity or artist hiding behind their publicist. And, that's just unfortunate. Not everybody is who you think they are as far as an artist. And I think that, it is important we have delved into this standum thing. Shout out to Eminem because he coined the phrase. So really, even with Michael Jackson, I think the fandom was different. There will never be another Michael Jackson or that frenzy, but the identity of an artist as a personality type blows me in this current era. It doesn't make sense. You can like someone, you can appreciate them, you can be down with them and not think that everything that they do is okay and right. So I don't know. Andy?
No, you said what you got to say.
Okay. Kendi in the chat says, I want to see George Michael at the BET Awards as much as I do Jack Harlow, which is not at all. Here's the thing. You're a guy. Kendi, I'm assuming you're a guy. I don't want to mess this up, right? But there are some young ladies that want to see Jack Harlow at the awards. Just like back in the day, even if they weren't sure, there were some young ladies that wanted to see George Michael. They wanted to see George Michael and Aretha hit I Knew You Were Waiting, or, all of those things. There were moments that, people want to take advantage of. J Speed, OG Talkback BTO Radio says, the average white band. I guess your he's talking to you,
about
Andy.
Me, and that's why I told him he can call in and share.
Call in and share. What do you mean? I don't think that, look, let me speak for Andy. I don't think that that's what Andy was saying. I think that the reality, too, is we can't act like we're a genre-less society, that R&B music isn't R&B music, or that the rock formats were, clamoring to let in R&B music. There was a push on both sides. Do you know what I mean? You think about acts like Tina Marie when Madonna first came out with Holiday. They, in a bit of reverse from what we saw in the 50s and 60s, weren't necessarily featured on their cover art or their album art because they didn't necessarily want the audience to know that they were white. because they didn't think that they would take to them.
Same thing with was it Michael McDonald?
Yep.
Same thing. I believe his album cover, he was like a silhouette or something like that.
Which
they
is
felt that black people weren't going to purchase.
Right. But he was in the Doobie Brothers, so I feel like, people kind of knew that. But let's see. Urban Spinster says Hannah Williams and the Affirmations sound black, as well as Moonchild. Bernadette says, today Lenny would have been welcomed at the BET Awards, but back in the day, Lenny would have really been welcomed wouldn't have really been welcomed like that. Well, Bernadette, perhaps you missed it. What I pointed out is that I worked at Lenny's label back in the day, and they were not always with putting Lenny in the position of black outlets and media stuff. That's just the way it was. Maybe it's changed. There's a lot of reasons why they say that they may have felt that way, but that is the honest truth. And, a lot of time has passed, and, a lot of feelings may differentiate from that point. We have Jay Speed from LA on the line. Jay, thank you for calling in. You are VIP here. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? I'm calling in because I was tuning into the conversation, and I thought your guest host, this is my first time tuning in, was a little disingenuous what he was saying. We have a lot of music form that is not really recognized as black music form. And I understand the subject matter that you were saying about Lennox, but I've been into radio ever since 1976, and a couple of different record pools, and I have seen this genre of music goes from one end to the other end that we don't recognize. Once we move away from it, even jazz itself. I mean, if you go to a jazz concert, 99% of the people there, depends where geographic is at, it's white people. So it's going to be a day when rap music will be pretty much the same thing. I mean, there's always been artists that has not been recognized for, we can look at Jimi
Hendrix. I got you.
We just got through with the popcorn. And then that southern accent from Charlotte, North Carolina and Atlanta, Georgia, so it might get a little twisted every once in a while. But the brain is a genius. So what do your guests have to say about that? I mean, when you go back far enough, you'll find out there's a lot of genre of music that we walked away from. And now other people take over, so we don't consider it our music.
I don't have no pushback. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think for me, it just felt as if Lenny Kravitz wasn't rocking with us. That's what it felt like.
And I will add to that. I just and that is what my honest thing is. I feel that BET Awards, Soul Train Awards, they wouldn't have been like, he doesn't really fit our genre. I feel that they would have welcomed him in, but there was some distancing on the other side. Listen, when we come forward, we'll hear more from our caller, Jay Speed. We'll also get more into this chat, and we'll get into Deion and Tracey and their breakup. Do you think that 11 years is a waste of time if you had love during the course of it and it just didn't work out? All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hating if you want to, but I only hate on it cause I want you. Say I'm tripping if you feel like, but you without me ain't right. You could call me crazy cause I want you and I never met you.
We wish you a holiday season filled with
peace and love,
and a new year rich with blessings. Mask up
and stay safe.
From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
People making lists, buying special gifts.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is helping kick off DMV Black Restaurant Week. The mayor plans to announce the latest round of Food Access Fund grants at a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new restaurant in Ward 7. The fund was launched in 2021 to help increase access to grocery stores, restaurants, and other food access points in the D.C. area. DMV Black Restaurant Week will continue through December 10th. Dave Chappelle is giving credit to his alma mater as a place that prepared him for the criticism that sometimes accompanies his style of comedy. Chappelle made a surprise appearance at D.C.'s Duke Ellington School of the Arts to take part in a master class on the topic of arts as activism. Chappelle, who is black, also took the time to visit with students in different classes during the visit. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Experience the spirit, songs, and story of Christmas. Join California Baptist University December 2nd and 3rd for CBU Christmas with vocal artist Anthony Evans. More at cbuchristmas.com.
In association with KBLA Talk 1580, the Terry Claiborne Foundation presents its 26th annual holiday party, Saturday, December 9th, featuring live entertainment, celebrity appearances, plus food and drinks. There is a cover charge for this party of the season, but not if you're one of our special guests. All you have to do is go to our website at KBLA1580.com and sign up. That's it, that's all. Just sign up at KBLA1580.com and you could win entrance to the soiree of the season. But whether you win or not, get a ticket, support the kids, and come join us on the red carpet in your semi-formal club attire and celebrate the season with KBLA Talk 1580 and the Terry Claiborne Foundation as we collect toys for the youth in our community. That's Saturday, December 9th, 1110 South La Cienega Boulevard, just south of Olympic. It's a holiday party with a purpose.
I'm Terry Claiborne. It's going to be a party. Come hang out with us.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Breathe happy Febreze.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Meet Cheryl.
Hey.
She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom,
She started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me I need a girl who's as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I see I need love. There I was, giggling about the games that I had played with many hearts, and I ain't saying no names. Then the thought occurred, teardrops made my eyes burn, cause I said to myself, look what you done to her. I can feel it inside, I can't explain how it feels. All I know is that I'm never dishing of the raw deal, playing make-believe, pretending that I'm true. Holding in my laugh as I say that I love you, saying I'm more, kissing you on the ear, whispering I love you and I'll always be there. Although I often reminisce, I can't believe that I found a desire for true love floating around inside my soul, because my soul is cold. One half of me deserves to be this way till I'm old, but the other half needs affection and joy, and the warmth that is created by a girl and a boy. I need love.
The precursor to Drake. You hear it all in the lyrics. The self-loathing for being a player, but I can't help it. That's just what I do. It's all there. Shout out to LL Cool J. I believe he said he is dropping new music soon. He did the Rock the Bells tour last summer. Think he's going to tour again. I'm not mad at it. Revisit this. Okay, really quickly, Bernadette said Lenny was as much of a trailblazer for white people as much as he was for black people. Potentially. Andy brought up maybe, Lenny not really seeming to play, at least at a period of time, in black culture. And I don't think that is a misstep. There are certain things, people that are interested in tapping into the counterculture or things outside of their mainstream thing find their way to it. And Lenny kind of didn't. And I think back to, I mentioned this last week, the 2013 interview he did with OWN, where he talked about his thoughts and feelings, even though, Lenny lived right over here in View Park at one point in time. So, let's not act like he wasn't in touch with his blackness. His parents lived in View Park. They were bi-coastal. They also had the New York joint. But what he said was because his parents were two different races and everyone around him was different colors, he did use that word. I know that is not PC, but that is the word that he used. He didn't see race in that way. And it took him being alerted by another student to sort of get into that. And he was offended by it because he said teachers didn't understand. They would just mark him down as black. And at the time, he felt that was disrespectful to the other aspects of his heritage, because he was also Jewish and, white. And so I think that, that's what made he and Lisa Bonet as a couple almost a perfect fit, because I think that they had similar views about the biracial aspect of themselves. And there's nothing, that's how you choose to get through it. But I think at the same time, it's being a little disingenuous to act as if, to your point, the entire time, and I'm not saying he was in denial of or trying to act as though he wasn't a black man or things of that nature, because there's all different versions of blackness, and I'm not trying to imply that just one version, even as we're talking about music, is what the black, aesthetic should be. But you also know, if you're being honest, the ones that want a little bit of space between those two worlds, right? You know it. You can kind of see it. You pick up on it. There's subtle cues. They may not have said anything, but Let's get to Jay Speed. Let's bring Jay back in here. Jay, what's going on? Uh-oh, did we lose you? We might have lost you. Okay, well, I'll read your comments in the chat. You said...
I'm here. I'm here.
You're here. Okay, what's going on?
Okay. I don't disagree with anything you just said, but as I am 65 years old, and one of the things I do is kind of like preserve our history from music, art, and then everything else. I put a list of music that we are responsible for in the chat. What I will say that not any one man or woman is bigger than the art form itself, regardless of all of their personal feelings. We don't know what kind of music was played in that man's house. Even he might even thought what he was playing was on his other side of his race, or however he categorized it. But it was still a black music form. And I think too many of our artists, like Chuck Berry and a lot of other, who suffered from being, even Little Richard, who suffered from not being recognized. And I understand these two artists I just said was way welcome in our community, and they didn't have a disdain for the community. But again, I go back. Now, no man is bigger than the music form itself.
I mean, I 100% agree with you. And I mean, I would put up almost acts like Prince and Rick James, who Rick James obviously was considered black music, but he didn't want to be. And I don't mean it in that, you know, he didn't want to be just locked into one thing. You know, he definitely felt that he was rock and roll, and he wasn't necessarily wrong. But MTV initially didn't want to play Rick James because even though he had music that was on par sonically with some of the things that they called rock, or some of the artists, especially if you think about the early 80s and some of the music that was being put out by white artists, he felt that it was, you know, limiting. And we did hear a lot of that coming up through the 80s, you know, with acts as we started to expand more so into the pop music realm and take over that from where we started in the 60s and 50s. So I think it is just, it's a mindset shift that is taking place within the culture. And I also think there's got to be some honest conversations. Are there some people that wouldn't have rocked with Lenny and the music because it's rock as far as blackness? Absolutely. But was his team all of that excited about getting him into some of those spaces? Not really. And I can only speak to around the project that I worked on, which was Lenny, which was released in 2001. But I feel pretty comfortable in saying that if it did change in tone, it was some time after that. And we know that by some of the other outside choices that are being made as far as an artist. So, yeah.
Can we do the reverse of that, though?
Sure.
Let's do BET. Didn't recognize rap until MTV started playing it.
Yes and no. A lot of black radio stations did not. They considered it not sophisticated. You know, there was a lot of thing about the Quiet Storm and the urban, you know, the different things. There was very much a separation from black stations that did not approve of and want to play rap music because they felt it was vulgar.
And we're talking about the early stages of rap music. See, I was in New York City when I was a dancer and on street dancer. Okay. And we're talking about 1975, 1976.
Okay.
And we're talking about the commercial rap music way before it became gangster rap and all this other stuff.
You talking about Crazy Legs, the old, I got right, you, I'm right there with you.
Right. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The Fat Boys and all these other places. They had a hard time in urban. Yeah, had a hard time in urban radio station to even recognize that as an art form. So there's a little bit of all of this, and all of that is whatever's popular versus what I think some of the older generation, like the boomers and stuff like that, were well versed in music, even though some of the older boomers reject some of the music today. But what I'm saying is that you have to be well-rounded in how much and how much influence black people have had. And even I think if they open up and do these award shows like they do, the Emmys or the Grammys and stuff like that, open it up to international, it would bring a broader perspective.
They do. Why do you think that they don't? The BET Awards definitely has international awards. Burner Boy has won several things. Tim's won. They do. They bring up-and-coming international artists to perform on the earlier stages and things of that nature. I think the thing is, though, is that at this current time frame, it's so much easier to niche down and not look around you and see what other types of format and art forms are out there, because there's so many different ways that we can get into other areas and things that we don't necessarily see what's going on.
I think we don't. See, it's just like some of the guys I blog all the time, and I don't work at a radio station. I am associated with the Captain Hughes station, and I do a show once a month. But I think what I see with us, that we like to be in this square, and the world is a circle. And I think if we start to embrace the music forms that we do worldwide, that it would bring a more focus on how great and how genius we are. And I think that's where we miss from dropping the ball. And I understand what you're saying. I mean, Afro beats and a lot of the stuff now are being recognized from Africa. I do understand that because people are listening to it.
Look at the K-pop movement. The K-pop movement is all R&B. That is all those writers and producers going over to Korea and working with this group and giving them the formula. Were they invited? They have been. I think that they've been invited, but it's tricky. It's tricky because, while they do have a certain segment that appreciates them, a lot of them are like, you're doing music and you're giving these people hits that really should be R&B hits. But one thing that I've noticed as far as the R&B sector, we don't have a lot of groups anymore. There's no more boy groups. There's no more girl groups as far as singing,
Well,
and I think that has lost something. But I don't think I feel like the international influence is stronger now than it has been in some parts. And I feel like it's something we go through in waves. There was a period of time in the early 90s when Jamaican music, dancehall, was really, really big, spreading across to other areas. We know it was that way in New York, but spreading to other parts of the country, there were songs that were peaking up. I feel like even if you think about reggaeton, which is, rap with a, Latino twist, if you will. But the influence was right there, and we dug some of those songs. So I feel like as a people, we like music. We're open to it. We were rocking out to Thomas Dolby in the 80s. She Blinded Me with Science, to the Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams, Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. So I just think that we like music. We like good music. But I'm not discounting.
Ask you a question, though?
Yeah.
My question would be, all that you have said, just like I say, I have no disagreement with. But I think we have to put into account that a lot of this recognizing music and understanding music and embracing music, a lot of that has to do with technology, not radio. It don't. And I think that's why that we are listening to, as far as individual, we're listening to all types of music now due to the fact of, the smartphone, the Apple phone. It has nothing to do with focusing on the music from a standpoint. I mean, we only have certain amount of what we would consider a music mark. I mean, California didn't become a music mark till the late 90s, early 2000s. It wasn't even considered.
I don't think so. I disagree with that. I'm going to push back on that for a couple reasons. But let me ask you this, right? You don't think that currently, and I recognize what you're saying, but the capacity to reach different places, I think that one of the benefits that we had back in the day was there was more centralized, so we could go and hear it and be the cross. If you were watching Soul Train on Saturday mornings, you probably would flip over and see what was going on Bandstand, or see occasionally if your favorite group was in there. I do think that there were certain songs that just, kind of blended and crossed, but I think it was thought of differently.
I think you are very vast in your your history when it comes to music, but I think there's some little things in between the notes that we might be missing due to the fact is I come from record pools. I come from radio stations. And I understand how the major companies had a grip on what would be considered a hit, what would be considered a B-side versus what we do today. And we're listening to it internationally on these devices. I mean, believe it or not, the public changed the way we listen to music when they start pirating music over the internet and everything else. So I just think we're into a reset now where that the demand of the public is more than the force of trying to break a hit over a radio station.
I think that is access. And hey, just to be clear, I got my start in the music industry in promo for radio. So I understand BDS spins, all of that. I understand what you're saying, but I also think we discount and we don't look at when I say we, I mean we as Black people in our culture. We have been the barometer of cool for quite a long time, and we have lashed out to tap into different types of music. You think about Aerosmith and Run DMC in '85. That is a pure rock song. That is a pure rock track that Run DMC came along and ripped, utilizing their lyrics, but there was nothing hip-hop about that track. When we come forward, we'll get into more trending topics and headlines. I promise I'm going to break down what's going on with Tracey and Deion, and if we think she wasted her time, all of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
More when we come forward.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
King C. Gillette knows you're dedicated to your barbershop routine, but how do you maintain the beard hair you already have? The King C. Gillette Beard Thickener helps to reduce patchiness and strengthens hair's resilience to breakage. Apply the King C. Gillette Beard Thickener daily to see a thicker and fuller beard in just 14 days. It's highly scented with King C. Gillette's signature scent. Just trim, wash, and soften. With King C. Gillette.
Is your eyesight changing?
I can't read this anymore.
Don't lose hope. People just like you are working every day using Braille, screen magnification, speech technology, and other tools and blindness skills. Your eyesight may have changed, but your goals, they don't have to. We can help. Visit us on the web at blind.org. The National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Well, friends, Tracey Edmonds and Deion Sanders have called it a day. Tracey put out a message on social media the other day, and she said, "To everyone who has been there for us, supported us, and shown us love, we have mutually decided that it is for the best for us to move forward in life as friends," capital letters, "and have made this decision with love in our hearts, respect for each other, and appreciation for the time that we spent together. Please keep us in your prayers as we go through this transition. Thank you for being there for us all these years. We love you and appreciate you so much, Tracey and Deion." Deion then left a message underneath that said, "Love you, Tracey, and you've been a true blessing to me. I appreciate the times we've shared and the laughs we've had. You are an amazing woman and a tremendous mother. God bless you in every endeavor, every step you take." So I saw some commentary that was like, they've been engaged for 4 years, dating for 11. He was never going to marry her. She wasted her time. What is it about being involved in a relationship that people feel like if the two parties seemingly say, hey, we just moved in different directions, is a time waster? I don't get that. I don't believe that every relationship necessarily has to end in marriage. That is not every relationship. That you can want marriage, but every relationship isn't meant for such.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes as people develop, they grow apart.
And when they get to that point, they divorce 3 months later.
Right. Right.
That would have been the waste of time.
I mean, and what I also feel is that if you share and learn and grow with a person, they have both been married twice before, right? Tracey the baby face, Tracey with her spiritual union or whatever took place with she and Eddie, and, Deion with his first wife, Carolyn, I believe her name was, and then later to Pilar. And, there were some things that happened in both of those situations, some public, that might make one a little shy to pull the trigger again on marriage, even though you want to be with the person. And as we talked about earlier when we were talking about Cheryl Lee Ralph and her husband, sometimes unconventional ways make for strong marriages and strong unions. You have to find the person that you can rock with together. And sometimes you just grow in different directions. Let's be clear. I remember when Tracey left LA and moved to Dallas to be close to Deion, right? And then Deion got the Jackson State job. So that involves what? Moving again. A couple months ago, Tracey recently moved to South Carolina. So can't say that we didn't kind of see this coming. South Carolina does a lot of independent film work, but it's also a different place and far away from Colorado. Probably the only thing more crazy than dating a professional athlete and dealing with their schedule is dating a coach. Because they have a different level of study that they have to put in, amount of time and things that they have to deal with. So perhaps they just grew apart and it just made more sense for them. They did have some business ventures that they did together, not heavy, not crazy. And Deion obviously has his eyes set on the NFL. That's an intense schedule. Tracey is an executive producer and maybe wanting to slow down a little bit. So, we're going to see some differences. We're going to see things change. In the chat, what are they talking about in the chat? Brother Alfonso says, back to the music, of course, it wasn't so much BET itself didn't play or rejected rap in the beginning. It was mostly older adults who controlled the music industry of all races. This is true. Like I said, they thought it was, young mess. Forensic Accountant, I remember buying a 12-inch of a song called Sunshine Reggae back in the 80s. Decent song. I flipped it, and I guess the B-side was. What? I don't know. Pastor Dochi? I don't know. We'll have to see. Listen, thank you for rocking with us tonight. Make sure you are locked in tomorrow. More trending topics. I told you we have a bunch of interviews coming this week. We have some in-studio. White Horse. If you want to ride, that was the jam. Don't ride the right horse. But it wasn't that song about heroin. Anyway, thank you people for locking in with us. When we come forward, you will hear the best of KBLA. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Lock in tomorrow night with us, 9 p.m. Pacific time. And have an amazing night.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica